Welcome, ladies, gents, and otherwise amazing people, to another episode of the Coolest Guys You Know podcast. I'm the guy with the beard and glasses, Alex Bagley, and alongside me is my co-host, the guy with the mustache, Jack Hefflinger.
How are we doing?
We are doing.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What episode is this? Do we know? Off the top of our head?
I have no clue. In the second season, I think this is 7 or 8.
Okay. And then how many did we do in the go-around?
There's a lot.
We might be at like 20-something.
We might be.
Which
is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Did you think that we were gonna go for this long when we started, or did you think this was
I
like
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't really have. You were just kind of like, yeah, let's do it. You didn't really have any aspirations or anything. You're just kind of like, yeah, sure, sounds fun.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, it works.
Podcasting.
Yeah. Casting pod.
Casting the pods. Thou who cast the first pod.
Thou who cast the first pod.
It's a Bible
verse?
reference.
Yeah, you're very educated on the Bible. You know a lot about it.
Mm-hmm. When Jesus was like, "Thou without sin shall cast the first stone," and he's like, "That's me," and then just like starts throwing stones at her.
You only know that line from God dang, what's the movie? We just had it, or not just had it, but we had it months ago.
Mm.
It's
you're talking about Book of Clarence.
Yes, Book of Clarence.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you know that line, isn't it?
That, and I saw it in a YouTube video once.
What YouTube video were you watching?
I was trying to learn about Jesus, man.
Like for real? Because I would laugh so hard if you were just like, I'm interested.
It was like a comedy channel, and they brought it up.
Okay. Just in your free time, being like, what are those people over there doing?
What are you guys up to? What have you guys been up to for the last 2,000 years?
Yeah, 2,000 years. Because, before Christ and then after death.
Wasn't that like not technically?
Yeah, I don't think that's what everybody used to say was like BC is before Christ, AD is after death. But I don't think those are actually at all correct.
Which is weird.
That's very European centric to be like, our religious milestone is the basis for all of time.
I mean, what, the Mayans thought that calendar was their whole thing?
Yeah, and then people thought we were going to die just because the Mayans were like, yeah, I think we've done enough.
You guys will have done enough by then.
There's no way
going to want to go.
They're like, there's no way we're ever going to reach this time. I like how we kind of like romanticize the past. Like everything was so intentional. Like they knew exactly what they were doing. When, like, if you think about, like, us now, like, if I was to create a calendar, I would just be like, I think that's, like, a good place to stop. Yeah, like.
I don't see us going any further than right there.
I mean, if they really go beyond that, they'll just make their own.
Yeah.
There's no reason that they're going to think that the world's going to end. What kind of idiot?
So advanced.
What kind of idiot thinks that? It's like, we romanticize the past and think that so many things were intentional, but we also think they're a bunch of idiots because they didn't have science. Yeah. It's like, pick a side. It is funny how many things like they also get wrong, right? And then we're just like, oh my god, like this must be correct. It happened in the past. Or they get something wrong, like the Earth being the center of the universe. Right. We're like, oh, they're a bunch of idiots. But then we all think that like the stuff that we have now, it's like, oh yeah, that's solid.
Or we have like flat earthers, and it's just like, okay,
yeah, that is idiocy. Yeah. But no, I just mean like. We look at the past and we see how science was believed at the time. It's like, oh yeah, this is just how things are. And then later on, you're like, oh no, they were idiots. But then like now we're like, yeah, we know everything.
Right.
Yeah, we know this for a fact. There's no way it's ever going to get disproven.
We don't learn from the past very much.
No. You know what they say. History repeats itself.
Sure does. 9/11?
No, because we will never forget.
Oh, that's right. That's
The only reason history repeats itself is because we always forget what happened in the past.
Right.
So we repeat it.
Okay.
But we'll never forget that.
That makes sense.
I don't like this joke. Let's let's get away from this.
Let's get a weather check.
Yeah. So it's pretty sunny out. No planes. No planes in the sky whatsoever. We're plane free today. Yep. Plane free.
Playing for you all day, hopefully.
They are clouds. They are not. They are 100% white puffy clouds. That's all they are. Oh man,
I notice you're wearing jeans. Is it not as warm out as I thought it is?
it's a little bit chilly. It's like I think it was 49 when I left. Yeah, I don't know what the highs. But you know what? It says it's 54 right now. So my phone lied to me when I went to leave, or it just went
it's
up
warmed up.
6 degrees.
It does
the
that.
amount of time that it took me to get ready, which is pretty crazy.
Ever hear of a furnace?
What?
The sun is the furnace of the outdoors.
Are you saying that Mother Nature just went over to the thermostat and was like, let's turn this up a little bit?
Yeah,
It's a little chilly. Let's turn it up a bit.
it's about time.
Did you would be pissed if I was Mother Nature, like with
Oh my
thermostat.
god, yeah.
You hate how warm I like.
I don't
it.
like Mother
and it's not
Nature
even that warm.
anyways.
I just like a nice little I lean towards warm, but I'm not like
Which is
full on.
crazy. I lean towards a little chill.
I mean, I am kind of a skinny guy. I don't have a lot of warmth.
That's
on me,
true.
You know,
I got a lot to warm me up.
just bump the mic there. I also take after my mom a lot, and my mom was like one of those where like it could be like really warm outside, and she's always underneath the blanket.
Mm.
Yeah. To be fair to her, though, my dad like keeps the bedroom constantly with the AC going, even in the winter. So
I respect that.
like I'll come in to visit, and most of the time we're like hanging out in the bedroom because they don't like going out in the living room much. And I'll be like, man, it's really cold. So how's the week been, or 2 weeks been for you?
2 weeks. Dang. It always feels so
I know.
long in between episodes.
We're like so short, but usually more. I didn't get a response. I was like, okay, I guess not. I guess
it doesn't feel that short.
It's very funny because like it'll be like every 2 weeks we have the podcast, and then the opposite is when I have therapy. So like 1 week on
really?
the podcast, 1 week off therapy.
That's funny. You're always just talking with someone.
Yeah, it's like a similar situation to some extent, where it's like, okay, what happened the last 2 weeks?
Yeah. I could really start to break it down too, like your therapist.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe I'm going to therapy, but then you're coming to therapy every time we're on the podcast. I'm like teaching you everything that I just
you're
learned.
slowly learning, and I'm just you're helping me along.
What if every time I go to therapy, I'm just talking about, I'm like, okay, so I have this guy.
So he's having all these issues.
He has this really thick mustache.
What does that have to do with anything?
It's stereotyping. You know?
Yeah.
You immediately stereotype somebody who has a mustache.
Yeah.
It's-
As like, they're fucking cool.
It's like usually they're white.
Yeah. Not always.
Not always. But, if they're white and they have a mustache, cop
Yeah.
immediately.
Yep. Or hipster these days.
Or a hipster. But hipsters are cool. That look of like, I think hipsters become mainstream. I mean, hipster culture
Yeah,
is
it was
very,
a long time ago
yeah.
too.
It's funny because I remember watching. This is like I don't even remember the name of the YouTube. It was the Fine Brothers. They did like a YouTube.
Oh.
It was like a YouTube sitcom that they did with some like bigger YouTubers. Only one I remember the name of was Grace Helbig, but she was on the show. But one of the characters, it was all about music, and so it was each character was like the genre of music and like all the stereotypes that was their personality.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool. But one was like the hipster, like indie person. It's funny to think of all the jokes around that now, and now it's kind of like mainstream. And that was only like the 2010s.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like in a Midwest emo.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, rap music was like, I think it's kind of on its way out of mainstream to some extent, like rap and hip hop culture. But I mean, that kind of.
I mean, that's gonna always kind of stay in the mainstream though, because it's just so
for
ingrained.
now. I don't think it. I think it's like the MCU where it's like it's not falling all the way, but we're on the downswing.
Yeah.
We're not in the golden age of it anymore.
No.
Some of the big rappers we have left are getting older. I don't really see a whole lot taking their place. I think if we're very much going more country indie.
Oh, for sure.
In music and culture in general, I think is kind of leaning into some. It is funny to think that music is kind of like a source of like what the culture is. For the
I
time.
know.
Like if you look at
that segment and it tells so much about the time.
Yeah, if you look at like the 80s and like that Zinthi, poppy.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
90s went to that kind of grungier.
2000s was just weird. Not weird, more cringe, cheesy. Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about the early 2000s that I'm not a huge fan of.
No, there's
or
some
the late
good
90s.
stuff in there.
It's not my time period. I mean, I would live in that period because I think life in terms of everyday life was pretty good.
2001?
Before. I'd say like the 90s were kind of like the age of like, we're just here.
Yeah.
You know, and there's not too much going on. I think they had what, like the Gulf War?
Yeah.
Was that the 90s? But that wasn't like.
But like that wasn't, yeah.
You don't hear a whole lot about the Gulf War.
I think that was more earlier 90s too, because I feel like you don't hear much about that with the Clinton administration.
Yeah, and I mean, the biggest thing for Clinton's administration was a sex scandal.
Yeah,
so
that overshadowed everything. So
clearly there wasn't a lot going on. Oh no, the president has sex. I mean, to be fair, it was out of his marriage, but when the biggest thing with the president is an everyday taboo, like something that you're chatting about, like your coworker, I think we're in a pretty good spot politically.
It was like the Clinton sex scandal and like the OJ trial. That was like kind of the 90s.
Yeah. Was that the 90s?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't realize that was the 90s. I don't know why I didn't think that. I thought it was like earlier than that.
No. Because it was like a 90s Bronco he was driving.
I think funny. Well, because he just died. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I was with my family when we were talking about that. My brother said, I think it was my brother. I think my brother and my sister said that they recalled Broncos trying to figure out where he was. Like they were trying to like goat him out.
That's really
I don't know
funny.
how true that is, but that would be kind of funny.
That would be.
Especially since like to take it that seriously compared to like other criminals.
Yeah.
That it's like, we have to get OJ.
It's OJ.
We have to get him.
The juice is loose. We got to get him.
Did he escape in the chase?
No, I don't. Because
Okay,
the
I was
chase
gonna
was
say-
like televised. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, almost nobody escapes a police chase.
That was no, because once the helicopter, like
it's like GTA.
oh, absolutely.
Like you're not getting out of the chase. You have to do some really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like my thing to get out of like a GTA 5-star was always to find the railroad tracks and just drive into the
in the
like
tunnel.
underground
Yeah.
and just hope there's not a train coming the other way.
That's what we should do in real life. You just like drive in a tunnel, you wait for like 5 minutes, and then you're good.
And just pray that a train's not coming. What would really crack me up though was when I was able to lose them by just like walking through the city. And it's
Dang,
like
you could do that? All right.
sometimes, like not a lot, but sometimes I would just be walking, running around, and they just lose interest. I'm like, okay. I don't know if it was always 5 stars. It might have been like lower than 5 because I think when does a helicopter get involved? Is it 5?
3.
3? Okay.
Once you kill a cop.
Oh yeah. Man, it's been a while since I played GTA.
I just have like encyclopedic like GTA knowledge.
Yeah, you are a big GTA fan. I got into it. I mean, that game is so old because I didn't really start playing it until I was on my way out of high school. And me and my friends would play. I really loved it when it was like our group that we were on there. You can just do so much. But I'm not big on playing with strangers.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. GTA, there are many good strangers.
Yeah, it's like they just terrorize you.
Yeah.
Same with Red Dead,
Oh, yeah.
which I don't think Red Dead gives the option for a private session online.
I don't think so. I think you can make it to where like you can't get shot by people though.
Because I always loved that about GTA. I would just hop on a private session.
Yeah.
Because I hated having to deal with anybody else.
It
I
just
was
gets worse and worse. It's bad now.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about Evan? His Red Dead online experience.
Yes, you did. You did tell me that. I don't know if we should repeat that on this podcast. That was pretty rough.
It was.
People.
If I were being chased by the law, would you like help me escape?
Like in real life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Yeah?
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool of you.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you did.
Okay.
If we had time for me to find out what you did and I
Right.
didn't agree with what you did, I might turn you in.
Turn me in? You wouldn't just be like, I'm not helping you.
okay.
You turn me in.
I guess it depends on the severity of it. I think there's 3 different levels, right? There's
Okay.
I help you. There's I just don't help you, and then there's I turn you in.
What would I have to, like, is murder turning me in, or is that like, no,
I guess
I'll
it
help
depends
you?
on the murder.
Oh, okay.
Like what the reasoning was behind it.
Okay.
I love that I'm just imagining us having a sit down, like, okay, before it's like an investment. It's like an investment.
I have to sell you on it.
You have to lay out your business plan of like how you're gonna get away. Yeah, that's true too. Whether or not I think that your getaway plan will actually get you away or will just get us both caught.
I mean, we have the lake. Just swim to like Put in Bay and then swim to Canada.
Yeah, just swim. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm not helping you with that one.
What? I could bring like a pool floaty so I could like sleep out there.
Yeah. I did. Maybe it's like you are on a jet ski. No, I'll be on the jet ski and you'll be on the pool floaty, and I'm like towing you across. Yeah, because I'm not being on that pool floaty.
Why don't you want to be on the pool? Why do I have to be in the pool floaty?
You brought it up. You said you wanted to be on the pool floaty.
I just wanted to sleep on it. I don't want to be pulled at 20 miles an
I don't have
hour.
to pull you that fast. I can go slow. You got a napkin? No, you're out of napkins. God dang it. That's fine. I'll just suffer with my nose.
That's all right. I'll get some soon for you.
This poor batch.
Do you want a box of Kleenexes here too?
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, if you could get a box of Kleenexes.
I'll get a box of Kleenexes for you.
Don't have one.
What are they needed for?
They're great. Kleenexes are great.
Toilet paper is softer than Kleenexes.
I guess it depends on the toilet paper. I don't know. I don't like blowing my nose. I mean, toilet paper is the best second to tissue. But I love tissues. Tissues are great.
Yeah.
Unless they're really crappy tissues.
Yes.
Because there
like
are
those
some crappy
lotion ones.
Yeah. Which ones do I get? I think I just get the soft tissue. But
I was like, I had to commit to the silence.
yeah, I was trying to too. And I was also like trying to think of something, but I'm like,
Yep.
Tell a story, Jack.
All right. Let's see here. What have I even done?
What have I done?
What have I done?
What have I done?
Well, I had to drop off a package from work at the the package facility kind of on that road. And when I went in, this lady was talking with this guy. And so I just put my package on the counter and she was like, yeah, you're good to go. So I just left after that.
Cool.
Yeah. Then the guy came out shortly after me and it was like raining really hard. And then we kind of just like exchanged nods and he got in his car and left.
I'm waiting for a story where you start off like that, and then all of a sudden something really crazy. Like you're like, and then the guy came out, and then he beat the shit out of me.
Then I watched him like stab a homeless man and just drive off.
Laugh and say, "Don't tell anyone." And then he did the. And you were scared for your life.
Yep.
The cops came up, asked you what happened, and you were like, "I didn't see anything." And then you drove home and you ate a sandwich and you went to bed.
Yeah. It's a pretty good day. That's a more productive day than I usually have.
Would you turn just some random stranger who commits a crime? Would you turn them in?
I feel like I would want to investigate it myself, so I wouldn't tell the cops everything. And I'd like try and figure it out myself.
Like the most gruesome murder ever. And you're like, I'm going to figure this out.
I think I could figure it out.
Yeah.
Especially if like I saw him and I saw his car, you know what I mean?
You would be the one that chase the car down as it's getting away.
Oh, 100%. There's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Do you think it'd be worth you dying to chase
I don't
somebody
think I
down?
would die.
Okay. Yeah, there's no way that you could just die.
How would he kill me?
This says he just killed somebody else. What do you mean? You watch a man kill somebody and you're like, I don't think you could kill me.
But he stabbed him, you know? We're in cars.
Yeah, but what happens when you catch up to him?
Well, then I figure out I chase it. Well, I would think I would.
Then
I would
all
try
those
to,
years that you don't have with experience of hand-to-hand combat, they kick in.
I think I could easily win hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, that much faith in your hands.
Also, I feel like
Have you ever been into like a fist fight at all?
No. I think I'd rather try and tail him so maybe he doesn't see me following him and see where he goes.
So it just becomes a video game for you.
And then once he
A
gets
man
there,
has died, and you're like, "This is my
video
time to
game,
shine."
I'm investigating.
this is my time, my time to shine.
I'm trying to investigate this murder, you know?
What if it like takes an obscene amount of time? Like you're following him day in, day out. You still aren't getting anything. Like, you watched him kill somebody, but you still don't have the hard evidence.
If it eventually like went far enough, I'd like, all right, let's just give a week.
You're like, eyewitness testimony is not enough. I have to get more.
No.
I'm not reliable as an eyewitness.
Do you think I'm a reliable eyewitness?
I know you're not reliable as an eyewitness. I witnessed this. We should actually tell that story because it's a pretty great story.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you're a great eyewitness, Jack. You remember so much. The story of like when that one woman came into the theater.
Oh, yeah.
So okay. So my story time. I don't know if I've really told. No, I've definitely. It's impossible for me to not have told stories on the podcast.
You've told stories
before.
on the podcast. Yeah.
But anyways, story time. Jack and I were working at the movie theater, and we're doing our typical thing, managing concession, helping make food and stuff. And this woman comes in and just is like, "Hey, I found this wallet on the parking lot. I wanted to turn it into you guys." I was like, "Okay, thanks, cool." She's a little like weird about it, I guess. I don't know. It was just kind of unusual how she did it. But she left and was like, "Okay, cool." Set her off to the side, waiting to see if somebody come back for it. More than likely, usually we end up taking it and putting it in the safe and whatnot. A little bit later, I think an hour or so later, this guy comes in, pretty tall, if I remember correctly. And he's decked out in jewelry, like rings, a necklace, earrings. And he comes in and he's like, "Hey, did somebody turn in a wallet? I'm here to pick it up." And it's like, "All right, yeah." And he had described what the wallet looked like to me. So I was like, "Here you go." And he's like, "All right, thanks." Left. Should have been it.
Yeah.
That's usually it. It's like, okay, somebody turned something in, somebody came in to get it, we verified that it was theirs. Boom. Some other guy comes in, this older guy, comes in and he's like, "Hey, did you guys have a wallet that you got turned into you?" And I was like, immediately like, "Oh shit, did I give it out to the wrong person?" I was like, how the hell did somebody know that we had a wallet?
Right.
I was like, this is wild. Never had this happen. And I was like, "Yeah, I gave it to a guy." And he's like, no. I know that was my son. Like, I wasn't asking you to give it to me. He's like, "But do you remember what the woman looked like that turned it into you?" And I was just like, "I don't know." Then I looked at you, and because you had seen,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't remember who said what, but we were in total agreement.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Yeah, it was an older white woman with blonde hair, that turned it into us." Like, "Yeah, I think it was an older white woman with blonde hair." And the guy just kind of looks at us and he's just like, Are you sure? And he's like, "All right, here," and pulls out his phone and he's like, "Did it look like this woman?" And it's a still shot of a security camera and it's a black woman. And as soon as I saw the picture, we
both were like, "Oh, yeah."
I was like, "Oh my God, that was her." Nowhere
such
even
an interesting
close.
thing.
Nowhere even close to describing her. But here, they had a jewelry shop at the mall, and this woman had stolen the wallet, and they caught her on the security camera. I can't remember if they let her know that. For some reason, she got nervous that they were going to catch her. She knew. And so she dropped it off at our theater as if she had found it in the parking lot. And then
After she pocketed all the money.
Called and told. I didn't hear that part. But then called. Why would there be money? She stole the wallet from the jewelry store. It was for sale. It wasn't.
I think it was someone who worked there is what I gathered from it.
I thought it was part of their merchandise.
If they sell that place.
I don't know. Either way. She turned it into us, but then called and told them that she had left it at the theater so that she wouldn't get caught with it.
That's so crazy.
But the guy had a camera pointing, and this was on Christmas Eve.
Oh my God, it was
because the guy's like, I was trying to cut her a break because it's Christmas Eve, and I don't want to ruin. She just had to turn the wallet into me. I just wanted her to turn the wallet back in, and I wouldn't do anything. But yeah, he had her on camera, plain as day doing it. And yep, that was wild.
That's insane.
And then,
Such an interesting study of like just how we don't actually perceive anything.
because you don't know, like, to gather that. And we see so many people going in and out. It was so easy to think like it was somebody completely else. But
I feel like I'm so much more observant now because of that. I'm like so much more locked in.
yeah, and this is where we got into I talked about how, it's been studied in scientific studies, how difficult it is for eyewitnesses to remember. And like, there's a study where they had people coming into a store, and like when they would turn around, the person that was taking their order or whatever would duck down, and a completely different person would pop up, and they have no idea that it changed. They changed genders, they changed race, and the person would the majority of the time not notice that who they were talking to was a completely different person. That's how little we pay attention to strangers.
See, but after that, we should do another study of those people after they went through that first one and see how much more observant they are now. Because I feel like going through any like,
I think it'd be funny now because it's been so many years.
We're so observant.
Yeah, I think it would be funny now because it's been so many years. But you'd have to. That's one of those things with studies where it's like, what's ethical? Because you'd have to. I wouldn't want to tell them that it's a repeat of that study, but it's just like, let's see if you. Yeah, I don't think it would be. I think it would be along the same lines. Honestly,
we are super observant now because of that.
It would
experience.
It would still be even interesting to do, like, you tell them that you're repeating the study so that they know and still see whether or not they are as observant as they think they are. I think with that, it would be like you don't change as drastically. Like, you get people that kind of look similar.
Right.
I think that'd be pretty interesting just to see how observant they actually are.
Yeah.
With that in mind. But also, when in life are you being told beforehand, like, hey, you're going to be an eyewitness?
Yeah.
Like, usually it's a freak occurrence.
Unless you just don't tell them.
You know what? You do that study, where you tell them everything, and then on their way out, you have some weird event happen on the way out that they don't know is part of the study.
Like a fake murder.
And then you, No. A fake murder. Something that's more everyday that they wouldn't think to look at.
All right, yeah.
And then you ask him, like, hey, like, ask some questions about it. I think that would be a very good study.
That would be.
Oh, layers within layers.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where, like, since I've started to listen to more psychology dependent stuff, but in studies, where, like, you start to find out how they do studies and how they build on the studies, where it's kind of fun.
Okay, yeah.
Like doing that afterwards where, like, the person's on the way out and it's like, okay, let's do another aspect to the study to find out, like, how it works even more.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it can be. Have you ever heard of the study where they had the guy getting shocked?
No.
Okay, so this is a pretty cool study. So they'd have people come in, and it was... so they would tell the people that this is like a study on learning through pain, I think it was. Okay. So the way it would set up is they walk into a room that has like the two-way mirror for, or no, sorry. They can't see into the other room.
Okay.
I don't believe. I actually can't remember. It's been a little while. Can't remember if they can see the person or not. I think they can't. I think it's all audio.
Okay.
Or there might be a different study that repeated it, but with visual. But I think the first one that was done was all audio. So they can't see the person that's supposed to be. So the way it's set up is that they're asking this person questions, and if they give the wrong answer, they have to shock them, and it would increase the more that the person was wrong.
Okay.
So they could hear the person every time that they would do this, but they couldn't see it. And there was always somebody with a lab coat, like a scientist. He'd be labeled like the lead researcher or scientist in there with him, like telling the person, like, okay, shock them, keep going. And they go through, and the person just, like, the fake ends up being a fake person who is doing the answering would keep getting it wrong, and so they keep shocking them and upping the voltage. And it gets to the point where they can start hearing, like, the pain in the person and hearing, like, them being like, like, this hurts so bad. And, like, at one point, like, they turn it up to a point where it's, like, really high, like, dangerous level. But the scientist, like, gives them, like, go ahead, it's fine. And then like they don't hear anything. They just don't hear anything, and they continue to go. Like, it's crazy how far some people would go. Because it was the reason that they started the study was to test why people followed the Nazis and would do all those horrible things that happened in the Holocaust.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they saw, like, just by putting somebody in a position of authority, telling the person, like, no, continue on. Because some of them would be like, I don't think I should keep going. They're like, no, keep going. And they're like, all right. And like so few people dropped out of the study, like refused to continue.
Wow.
On.
Okay.
I think maybe not so few. I think it was just that the majority. I can't remember what the numbers were. It's pretty bad though.
Damn.
Like it really makes you question like how easily people will follow authority.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they would just keep going, and they're like sitting there like, I don't think this is right, and it's like, no, keep going. And it's like, okay.
Damn.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. For the Stanford prison experiment, though, right? Yeah, that's one that I think almost everybody, especially if you go to college.
I didn't go to college, but
Well, you went to college.
I went to college.
It's a gen ed class, gen ed psychology. That
I feel like we even talked about that in high school, though.
Sometimes I think people show it in high school. I don't remember if I did, but I definitely saw it in my college gen psychology class.
Okay.
It might have been social. I don't remember because I took Psych 101 and then I took social psychology.
Yeah.
I really loved social psychology a lot. That was a cool class. And the professor I think she was from Taiwan, and she was a twin. She was pretty interesting individual, but she had like broken English, so sometimes it'd be kind of hard to understand. Yeah. She was very nice though. There's something that, she taught us like, I think it was Taiwanese. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Taiwan, but she was like teaching us characters at one point, like what they would like mean, and I wrote them down. They're somewhere in my notes because I've kept some of my college notes, especially for psychology, going forward. Because I was just purging everything not too long ago. But yeah, psychology's always interested me. It's fun.
I think you're gonna have a good time learning more about it.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting going back to school, but it's a different aspect, because doing master's is very different from doing undergrad. So it's like getting back into the academic environment, but also adapting to the changes, and it's more central, like it's more focused, I feel like.
Right. And probably a lot more maturity in the people who are getting the focus.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. You ever thought about like going any higher, like finishing your undergrad, or
I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. I feel like with undergrad, that's something like you could just do. You could just pick something and do.
Just like pick a business degree or some crap.
I mean,
and just
realistically, that's what you do with everything.
Yeah.
To some extent, I mean, obviously, once you have your undergrad, you're a little bit more reduced than what you do for your master's, or you'll have to do extra stuff.
Right.
And then I think your PhD, it depends on what it is. But like when I was talking to my therapist about like the pathways for it, PhD for psychology, you have to get your master's in psychology. To
Would you get your PhD, you think?
I'm interested in getting a PhD, but I don't know if I would do psychology. I'm interested somewhat in doing philosophy for PhD.
Yeah.
But that's like so far out, because also with that, I would have to look up what the procedure is if I can do it without getting a master's in it. And then even if I could, I'll probably have to have connections of some sort and have like somewhat of a name in the world of philosophy. To do a PhD, you have to have some research basis or like some name. Like you have to have a name to do a PhD in the academic world. I don't know, because I like learning a lot. But I don't like the way that I hate bureaucracy. And the academic world is very bureaucratic. But that's everywhere. You always have bureaucracy. And I always laugh at how much people buy into bureaucracy too. There's always people set in place who are 100% like, no, this is how things are done.
Yeah.
And it's like, you take your job way too seriously. I think I do a good job of balancing both, there are some times where it's like, no, I have to do some. I can't just like always be like, just don't worry about the rules.
Right.
I feel like I don't buy in so much the rules that it's like too much. There's a balance to it.
Mm-hmm. I think I bought more into the rules when I was younger, but now it's like,
Yeah, I think most people do. I think you're more extreme when you're younger. It's either I always buy into the rules or I never buy into the
Right.
rules. Because there are definitely people that don't.
oh yeah.
And I think as they get older, because there's side effects to both. If you don't buy into the rules, you live this wild, crazy life and you get hurt a lot from that.
Right.
But if you buy into the rules, you're super restricted in what you do, and you're usually pretty miserable with your life because you're not free at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I think that the 20s is kind of like you have a flip.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you bought in the rules a lot, you flip into being like more wild and free. And if you didn't, you kind of start believing more in the rules.
Yeah.
That's why I think that a lot of the more rebellious, crazier, younger people actually thrive in college because they're like, okay, let's focus on college now.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were more excelling more in high school kind of had the flip where they're like, I'm just going to try and open up and relax in college.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had the regular college experience sometimes.
I didn't even really have a regular college experience.
But then I'm like, I'm glad I didn't because I'm not gonna smoke weed or anything, so I'm not gonna drink with all those
but also,
idiots.
what is regular? You know,
Part like what I see that all my peers had did all the partying and
I think you
at
kind
the
of
bars every weekend.
I think everyone kind of buys into this idea that there's a generalized thing that's happening outside of them, where it's like, oh, everybody's doing it this way. But if you narrow it down to an individual life, even for people that experience some of that, their life is still different from other people. There's always a difference. It's just your own life.
Yeah.
Kind of. Some people do have their own venture. I mean, I definitely didn't have like what you would consider a stereotypical college experience. I got my degree, but like the way I went about it is not at all stereotypical. I went for something that I knew I was going to use.
Yeah.
And finished it out, even though I knew I wasn't going to use it. I commuted.
Because do you have technically have a communications?
I have communications, yeah. It's communications with a concentration in electronic media, which is no longer even available at my university.
Really?
Yep. Like they cut out the concentration before I left to where it was just generalized communications.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't even have communications.
Wow. Okay.
They restructured a lot.
Hmm.
It was a private university, smaller.
Yeah.
It's another thing. I went to a private college and not a public one,
Yeah.
and it was smaller, which is why I commuted. And why I went was because I wanted to commute. So.
And if I had went full time, I would have commuted too, anyways. So
I could actually see you liking private college more than public college.
yeah. See, but like I wouldn't mind parties, but I wouldn't want to party all the fucking time.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, my college used to be considered a party school, I guess, when it was older.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, at least that's what I was told by somebody once.
Okay.
An older guy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I used to party all the time up there," and I was like, "Really?" I mean, it could make sense because they had tightened down so much on it. I know that there are parties. My one friend still works as a cop in the area, and he's had to He had a story about breaking up the one that was pretty funny. But yeah, I think it's just because it's a smaller group of people usually at private schools, and it's more like a high school environment to some
Right.
extent in terms of class size, and yeah, I think you would have liked that.
Too late now.
Yeah. Not if you go back. Well, you'd
Yeah.
be older. Yeah, public was very... I don't see you making it
See,
like
but
in
go
public college
Falcons,
at
man.
all. Yeah. I mean, I think I still got... It's funny, though, because even doing it the way that I did it, there's still, like, moments where it's like, this is stereotypical college stuff that I did.
Right.
Like, I still went to some parties. Yeah, meeting because I drank for the first time, not from college. It was actually just during my going to college, but I drank for the first time with my high school friends. But then going out to bars and stuff was definitely with my college friends. Yeah, even smoking. I didn't. I smoked weed with my high school friends, but it was during college.
Yeah.
So still college, because I mean, with my high school friends, it's like they come back from college,
Right,
And
yeah.
then it's like all the stuff that they've been
Yeah.
doing in college is like spreading within the friend group. But yeah, and went away to DC. Did that for a month and a half. That was more like a college dorm experience, even though it was more like professional, and cleaner, kind of. But yeah, I'm very happy with how my college experience turned out.
I wish it wasn't COVID times when I went.
That kind of sucked for you guys. I got
Yeah,
the tail end of my college experience, but it didn't really. I mean, it cut my DC trip short.
Yeah.
That sucked. But I also got my car out of it from all the financial reimbursement. That's how I was able to afford my car. So, positives and negatives.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you that, so before I went on the trip to DC, I had this dream about like going to DC, but then for some reason having to leave early. And I was like, no, I like just got here. And, like, why do I have to go home? And I don't remember what it was in the dream, like the reasoning. It was just like, I was like so afraid about it ending early, and then it did. And then while I was out in DC, I had the same dream again. And then COVID happened and we got pulled early.
Huh.
Yeah, that's wild. Because I was like, I'd wake up from it and I'd be like,
premonition.
yeah. I'd wake up from it and I'd be like, there's nothing, I'm like, I'm already set for this. Or like when I was there, I'm like, I'm already here. Like there's no way I'm going to come home early. Like we're doing this. I don't know why this is a fear that's occurring in my dreams. Yeah, COVID happened.
Now you know to trust your fears and your dreams.
Yeah, it's just crazy how the world works in that way.
Oh, when you get your degree, you can become my therapist. There we go.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah. Now I have to pay you for the podcasting time. We'll do then because you.
That's fine. Hey, I'm 100% down for this. We'll keep it off the books.
Yeah.
Under the table.
Yeah.
Like literally, you hand me the cash under the table as we're like. What do you think about that? The dream stuff, though. Do you like think that there's anything to that?
No, there's nothing to that.
You just think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like there's like a dream is gonna.
I'm just saying, like that's a pretty crazy coincidence to just be like that's just a coincidence. Like, why
is
did it line? How did it line up so exactly? Like, what do you think the reasoning was behind it then?
I bet you were reading about COVID happening in China and all
What do
that.
you mean? I was in DC when it happened.
But like before, when it was in China and spreading, you were
But
probably
barely
reading
anybody knew
that.
about it in 2019.
But then I bet you were reading about it, and then you were like,
I don't read the
oh.
news. I don't read the news.
Maybe you listened to it. Sorry.
I don't listen to. I don't have anything to do with the news.
You worked for a news company out there.
Yeah, but that was after I had the first dream.
Yeah.
In fact, we didn't start covering. I started covering COVID. That was pretty crazy too, because working the news company, I had to see
Probably.
COVID just expanding. Like at first, it's like, okay, this is like crazy, but it's so far away from us. It's like it's not going to get here for a little while. And then like constantly seeing like this country's having an issue, this country's having an issue, because like that was the big headline. Almost every time I was sitting down to do anything. So yeah, that was pretty wild. But I don't remember when we really started covering it. I think it took a couple weeks before we started covering it. And I think the second dream I had was like the first week I was there. Okay. One of the first nights.
Were
I
they
was
the
in
exact
DC.
same dream?
No, it was different. I'm pretty sure it was different. I don't even remember what. The only one I really remember vividly was like something to do with me. There was like a playground of some sort involved. That's about all I remember in terms of what happened. But
Have you ever had dreams like that before? Where you have like a fear that something's going to happen?
not that I can
Beforehand?
peg or remember. I mean, I dream a lot.
Yeah.
There are other things outside of dreams where it's pretty crazy coincidences that I've had. I'm trying to think of a good one. Well, the best one. So I read The Alchemist. Have you ever read The Alchemist?
I have not.
Oh, great book. I don't know if you'd like it because it's very spiritual. But in The Alchemist, it talks a lot about omens, which are like coincidences that aren't coincidences. They're very like spiritual meaning to them.
Okay.
It's like signs of like you're going this direction, like you need to go this direction, or this thing's coming. Premonition type stuff.
Yeah.
And that's very big in The Alchemist. And like when I was reading The Alchemist, I was just like, man, this is like really crazy, like to think about. Like just a great book. There's a reason so many celebrities, it's a very popular book, and a lot of celebrities will endorse it. But I read that and, was getting through, and I was kind of like thinking about like previous things in my life. And the big one was that COVID thing, Dream in DC. I was like, wow, that's kind of like one of those things where it's like a crazy coincidence. But because of that, I was like, just curious, like, what if that was like true? What if there were things like that? So I can't remember if I was done with the book yet or still reading it. But for the Christmas party at Arby's, I was going to make my mom's cheesy potatoes. I don't really cook that often, but I have the recipe for it, and I've made it a few times. I do okay. It's not as good as my mom's, but people still enjoy it. So I went out to grab the supplies for it, and I went to the grocery store in my hometown and went to get the potatoes that were in the recipe, and they didn't have them. I was like, great. Because she uses diced potatoes.
Okay.
And they were just out. I was like, okay, maybe I'll go to the Drug Mart that's nearby. So I went to Drug Mart, and I didn't think it would be a Drug Mart because Drug Mart has a smaller grocery section. But I was like, it's in town. That's the only other one in town that would have had it. So I got out there, and no diced potatoes. I'm like, great. I'm going to have to go all the way. I almost said that, and I didn't even think about the context. No dice. Great, no dice.
Yep.
It's like, great. I'm going to have to go all the way to, the Walmart in Fremont, which is, like a 15-minute drive.
Okay.
It's like, very inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's like, but like all of a sudden, like this thought of like, what if like there's a reason I had to go out there? It's like, I don't know. So I drive out to Fremont, go to the Walmart, and as I'm going along, I don't remember if I was looking for something else too, since I was already at Walmart, but I was just kind of like walking along, like, maybe there is something that I'm like supposed to be here. And the instant I'm thinking that, I get bumped into by a former Arby's employee I hadn't seen like a few months because I left that store. And was just about, because the Arby's Christmas party I was going to wasn't my home store because I wasn't working there anymore.
Oh, okay.
There's a different one. But I hadn't seen her since I left that store. And like, it was the instant I had the thought of like, why would I be brought out here? Like, would have, and I just had this conversation with her, and the entire time I'm talking to her, I'm just in my head like, wow, what? It was just like this normal conversation. He's like,
right.
Just ran into her, but I was just like, what if this is real? Yeah, that was wild. Because the whole thing was like, that was like me asking like, if this is a thing, like prove it. And then that just happened.
Okay.
So ever since then, I've always been on the lookout for things like that. Coming home from South Carolina, there was a lot of stuff that lined up for me. And that was a big reason why I came back. I mean, I don't even think, if we get into more of my deepening philosophy, I don't really believe in free will as much anymore. But
okay. Interesting.
I don't really think you have the choice that it seems that you have.
How much time we don't have enough time to get into that. That might be a next podcast thing, though. We might want to get into.
If we got into all my philosophy stuff, I'm sure we get it pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think so far, though? Like, you still think it was just like a coincidence?
Well, obviously, I don't believe in any of that stuff.
But it's just pretty wild that I was thinking of the exact moment that I ran into her.
Yeah. Were you really thinking that? Like, this is leading me there?
Yeah. But that is true, though, because memory is tricky. Sometimes you'll kind of like gloss over things like it doesn't happen because there's no way to prove that the past happened the way that it happened.
Right.
Outside of just the dominoes that have fallen since then. But I also think, again, getting more into my deeper philosophy stuff, that's kind of the point. Okay. There's something to that. There's a reason for that stuff. And that's really what it comes down to is it's either you believe that there's a reason for stuff to happen the way it does or there isn't a reason for stuff to happen the way it does.
I think there is no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah.
I actually appreciate that. I think it's a pretty cool way to live.
Oh, you think so?
I don't think everybody has to live like me. That's a pretty...
I think everybody should live like me.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think that's a pretty egotistical way to think, and then you immediately said that.
What?
Yeah.
I believe in free will.
Yeah.
I can do it. I could slap you right now if I wanted to.
Yeah, but why did you have the thought to do that? Like, where is the
free
thought?
will?
Because you have to have the thought to have the action. So where does the thought come from?
My brain.
Okay.
My brain.
Okay. But are you your brain?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm a brain.
So you know everything that's going on up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know why the blood is flowing. You can feel.
I'm feeling it.
The brain
I'm feeling all the
doing
muscles.
everything in your body.
I'm feeling the breathing.
You're telling yourself, breathe in, breathe out. Blood flow, blood flow.
It's automated actions. You know?
Okay. So if it's automated and you don't have to consciously think about it, is it you doing it?
Yes.
How?
Because my brain is doing
How are
it.
you doing something that you're not even knowing that you're doing?
Because my brain is taking care of it. The inner work.
Yeah, but you just said
it
you're
takes
your
care
brain.
of the everyday stuff.
You just-
I take care of the big stuff for it.
Okay, but
All
you
right?
just
it's
said,
a working relationship.
You just said you're the one doing the work, but
Yeah.
you're not doing the work. It's doing it for you.
But it is me. I am still my brain.
Is it you, or are you a product of it?
It is a product of me. It could be nothing without me. I could destroy this right now if I wanted to.
Oh man, I can't wait for the next episode.
I'm gonna go start huffing gasoline and see where we're at in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this could be a really interesting conversation. I always I don't want to push that conversation because I've thought about talking about this.
We'll
stuff
push it
before.
next week for sure.
Yeah,
Next 2 weeks.
I think I love talking to people about life philosophies because everybody has life philosophies. It doesn't matter whether or not you actually
I don't
read
think
philosophy.
I do, but
The way you live is a philosophy.
no, that's not true.
That is true.
No, it isn't. What do you mean?
Philosophy is all about how you live.
Read a philosophy book sometime.
Just by living, you are living a philosophy.
That's not how it works.
You don't have to write down a philosophy book to live a philosophy.
No, but
I'm telling you that you have your own philosophy, and you're like, no, I don't want it.
take it back.
Yeah, everybody has their own life philosophies,
Yeah,
and I love that. That's why I love people so much.
it is interesting.
Because I'm like, really, you live like that? Why do you live like that? Because sometimes they might have something that I'm like, oh, you know what? How do I do that? And sometimes I'm like,
Oh, okay.
I don't agree
You're
with how
a
you're living.
stupid
I don't agree
idiot.
with how you're living. I also find it funny when I'm talking to somebody about something, and at the time they deny it vehemently. They're like, no, that's no. And then later on, all of a sudden, they'll start to have a change of heart just out of nowhere, and they don't even recognize that we had the older conversations.
Okay.
And they'll just be like, yeah, I think this. And you didn't used to think that. What? Yeah. Big one, I got into political arguments about Trump a lot back in the day. I don't really like to argue too much about politics anymore.
I always try to debate more than argue.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't really do it anymore, is because ultimately I'm like, what was the point? Because most of the time it's weird. But
It's also just fun to do.
yeah, well, that's the thing, is it's when does it cross the line from being just a fun thing to do to being we're taking this way too seriously?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I mean, it doesn't matter that much what your opinion is on it, because you're just one individual person who has very little power.
Yeah.
That. It's more just a fun chat.
Yeah.
But anyways, I had gotten with one of my friends specifically. I used to have debates, and we'd go back and forth, and we were pretty opposing sides. We weren't super extreme opposing sides. He had some give, but he believed, and then as it progressed, it's no, I don't like him. And it's really? And he would just act yeah, I don't like him. And it's oh, okay. Interesting how that developed.
Yeah.
I think memory is a big thing to do too. Because people tell me a lot that I remember things that they don't know why I remember. You, or at least the people that I choose to have as friends, I guess. I don't know. But a lot of my friends would be like, you remember that? Or why do you remember that? But then there are things that I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of my childhood.
I remember the dumb stuff.
Is it dumb if you remember it? I think it's pretty cool.
I don't know. Is it important for someone who's 22 years old to know that The Equalizer, the 80s TV show, was on Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock?
Why is it important to
On
know
CBS?
anything? Why is it important to know anything?
Yeah.
You could challenge any sort of knowledge that people have and be like, why is that important to know? So now we're in the awkward place. So we're
I know,
most
where
of
we-
the stuff we
yeah.
want to talk about, it's going to be
a long
the next
time,
episode. Unless we just make this a 2-hour long podcast. But I have to go to the bathroom, so this is a good place to
Yeah, this is bad.
We're living on a cliffhanger, which we don't
Exactly,
do. We
yeah.
don't do. So
Tune in next time for a really
Maybe-
deep conversation.
Actually, maybe we make this a 2-parter. Maybe this is a part 1.
Oh.
We just naturally progress into a part 1. We've never had a 2-parter episode.
Yeah.
Pairing this with another one.
Interesting.
Yeah. tune in next time.
Yeah. Give me some time
Conversation.
to think about my life philosophies too. We really get
Conversation
into
to be
that.
continued.
Yeah.
There's a reason that you're a friend, by the way, because I really do like your life philosophy. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Most of the friends that
Do I have an interesting philosophy? Like, what am I looking at? Like, what?
most of the friends that I have, there's a reason I keep them close to me.
Okay.
So.
We'll dive in next week. I'll try and like actually think about like not the persona Jack, but like the real Jack's like life philosophies.
Do you think that it has to be conscious?
Not necessarily.
I think
if I think hard about it, I can at least think about.
I
why
keep
do
like
it.
touching like base on things that I want to talk about, and I'm like, no, I gotta wait.
This is gonna be
next episode.
This is gonna be good next episode.
All right,
I'm excited.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.